Hi! Welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, Episode 4. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Twitter and Instagram, and I blog at the Corner of Knit and Tea. Welcome back for all my returning viewers, and welcome to all my new viewers. I'm super excited to be recording Episode 4, and I want to thank everyone so far who's left kind comments and constructive criticism and given me some ideas on how to make things better. And I just really appreciate the support and feedback, and this is just a really great community, and I love watching other podcasts and seeing what you all are up to as well. Anyway, this is Saturday morning, August 30th. We are getting ready in the US for Labor Day weekend. We actually have a friend who's getting married, so we're about to head out of town to go to the wedding. My husband's actually in the wedding, but I wanted to try and record this episode before we go, even though it probably won't go up until Monday when we get back. But I wanted to say hi and make sure I got everything recorded and in today. I've done lots this week that I want to show you. So we'll get started. This morning's tea is Republic of Tea. This was a sample that I got in their catalog. If you want to sign up at their site, if you're interested in teas, they have great teas in tea bags, although they also sell some as loose leaf tea. And they send you a catalog, I would say maybe once or twice a quarter, and they always include a sample tea bag in the catalog, so it's a good way to try a whole bunch of things that you wouldn't necessarily try otherwise. This morning's tea is Organic Strawberry Basil by the Republic of Tea. And what I did was I actually just made it hot and then poured it over ice because it is too warm here. It's been in the high 90s and hundreds this week, so it was too hot for cold tea, so I'm drinking it iced in my Tervis mug, and it's really tasty. It's like refreshing. I think actually it's even better as a cold tea because I think it's really like a summer tea. It's fresh with the basil in there, and it's just kind of sweet and nice. So I would say that's a good one. Again, that's the Republic of Tea Organic Strawberry Basil Iced Green Tea. So there you go. Next up is what I'm wearing, the segment that I always forget. This is a shawl by Left Side Knits, Chrissy Prang, and it is called Chosen Path. And if I remember correctly, it comes in two different charts. It talks about either the stockinette section or this beautiful lace section. And you can choose whether you want to intersperse the sections together, whether you want to do stockinette up at the top and lace at the edge, how many repeats you want to do. It's kind of a build your own adventure shawl. So this is, again, Chosen Path by Left Side Knits, Chrissy Prang, and she is still having a 50% off sale on patterns in her store, so if you're interested, head over to check it out. The yarn that I did this in is Hedgehog Fibers. She will be linked in the show notes. Show notes are also over on my blog at the Corner of Knit and Tea. And this is her Bamboo Merino Silk, which is just a luscious blend. I think I used 2 skeins for this. And it is in the colorway Wish, and actually I pulled it out because it goes with my dress that I'm wearing at the wedding, so I'm bringing it just in case it gets a little cool later. So, but it kind of matches the shirt that I'm wearing this morning, and so I just threw it on and thought I'd talk about it. So let's move on to knitting. This week I finished the kraken cowl that I've been showing you. It is done. Unfortunately, I noticed a couple errors when I was blocking, but we won't talk about that. They will be the Persian flaw. This is one of the sides. Again, this is the double knit cowl, double knit kraken cowl by Craftling. I did this in Cascade 220 Superwash. And I will say that should I do it again, I would totally do it in the 220 regular. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought the superwash. Obviously, it makes it easier to wash. But for a cowl that's not going to get super dirty, that I'm not going to need to wash too many times, I think the sticky wool, actually, the full wool would have been better. And then the other thing that I think would have worked really well is that I could have spit spliced the ends together if I were using 100% wool. I couldn't do that with the superwash wool, and normally I wouldn't even care about that either, but the problem is that this piece has no wrong side because it's completely reversible. The wrong side is in the inside of the two between the two pieces in the cowl, which of course it's really hard to get into. And the issue is that weaving in ends, I kind of had to weave them in on the front side and then hope that they didn't show much. And again, these are minor details. It's not a big deal. I'm probably never going to notice it wearing it. But in hindsight, if I'd done it with wool, I could have spit spliced the ends together and had almost no ends to weave in, and that would have been really nice. So I'm looking forward to wearing this. It's really a little bit more of like a capelet around the shoulders, but I'm really looking forward to wearing this when it cools off a little bit. Not that I'm wishing for a really cold winter, but I think it will be a great cowl. And the pattern was well written, the chart was easy to follow, and I would definitely recommend this if you're thinking about trying double knitting. So that's my cowl. The other projects that I've been working on this week, one of them I told you about, which is the Cabin Cowl by Treasure Goddess on Ravelry, and it is a series of log cabin squares that you then put together into a cowl. So she has you knit 4 squares, and I have 3 of the 4 knit at this point. So I'm using wool mice in a bunch of colors that I had left over from various projects. And so I have, this was the first square that I think I showed you last week. And then I knit my second square. And this is again Mouse Young, Amethyst, Hortensia, and Spinachi, spinach colored. And then this is the third square. Same colors. This is Fleeterbush, the dark purple. And then I am working on, where did he go? This is my 4th square, so I still have a little ways to go, but we have a car trip today, so I suspect I'll finish that. And in the beginning, I thought about the first square you'll see I wove my ends in. So I haven't blocked it yet, but I've woven the ends in. The other ones I've left because I was trying to decide exactly how I would seam these squares together since there's all these different colors and I wasn't sure how mattress stitch would look in a variety of colors. So I thought maybe, and I haven't decided whether I'll do it yet, to use my ends in stitching together these squares. And I haven't decided whether that'll work yet, but I decided not to weave in the ends so that I'd have them should I need them. So this weekend, hopefully I'll finish knitting the 4th square, and then maybe I'll seam them, and then I'm thinking that what I'm probably going to do is do an I-cord edging, just to kind of even up the edges and kind of tie the piece together. And I haven't decided which color I'll be using for that. My assumption is that I'll use either the blue, the gray, or the amethyst. And the gray is probably not quite right for my coloring, so it'll probably either be the blue or the amethyst. I haven't decided quite yet what I want like right up against my face. So that is the Cabin Cowl by Treasure Goddess. I would highly recommend it if you have leftover scraps or from socks that you've knit or different kinds of things. She uses a whole variety of colors. She doesn't stick to just 5. I just happened to pull them out and like them and thought that I would do better with more of a simple color palette, but I'll probably knit it again in different colors as well. So definitely something to check out if you have lots of leftovers. The other project that I've been working on for a while, and I haven't brought it in to show you, but you'll see in just a minute, is I've been making mini mittens to sell as holiday ornaments. And so I just brought a few over. I've been using my leftover hand spun bits to kind of knit these mini mitten ornaments. And last year I knit a whole bunch and I gave them away to friends and family, and I put a bunch on our tree, and I have a little Christmas tree at work that I put a bunch of mittens on. And I wondered, I'm part of the Kansas City Fiber Guild, and we have a craft show once a year that anyone who's a member of the guild, and there are a few other requirements, but you can sell your wares at the show. And I have been selling my hand spun and actually some hand woven scarves. I haven't showed you any of that because I actually have not been weaving as much in the last year, so I've been concentrating on spinning much more. Anyway, so I sell there once a year. It's a craft show that happens in November. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving. And basically I can take as much as I tell them I want to take. And I sell, and it's a really great setup. They set it up in a room in a center here in Kansas City, and they set up the whole room. and you don't have to, I don't have a booth that I have to man. Everything's just all mixed in together. And then there's one cashier station, and I have to work a couple shifts at the craft fair. But all of my stuff is there on display the whole time. And it's great. They have a huge mailing list. They've been doing this for years. So there's a captive audience. It's just a really, really cool show. Anyway, so I was thinking last year as I made these that maybe I might be able to sell them as mitten ornaments. So I've been working on knitting them kind of slowly all year so that I have enough that I can take to sell. And the way this ties in is, remember I was showing you that yarn that I replied. Remember, it was the hand spun that I did a long time ago that was very loosely plied, and I replied it, and I figured that this scrappy skein with all the little bits of color in it, just short color runs, would be great for knitting mini mittens, because they only require about 18 yards, or 18 to 20 yards of hand spun. So I went ahead and started that this week, and I've gotten 3 so far, in all different colorways. And the thing that I really, really, really like about these is that every single one of them is going to be unique, because they're all little scraps and leftovers, and I don't know what colors are coming or what exactly they're going to look like. And so every single one is a unique little treasure. So I am working on those. I probably want to do maybe half a dozen more before I actually have a whole bag full, because I've been working on them all year. And I'll take them to the craft show this year and we'll see what happens. So, but I wanted to tie in what exactly I was doing with these scrappies and knit a few and show you what they look like. So that's my mini mitten project. That'll be coming with me because they're great in the car. They take about, I don't know, about half an hour, 45 minutes to knit the whole thing, weave in the ends, and done. So the last thing I'll show you is kind of what's on deck. It is September 1st, which means it's time for new projects. As I said, I play in the Harry Potter House Cup, and I also do a lot of different challenges that run from, say, the 1st to the end of the month. So September 1st is Monday, which means it's time to cast on. So I am packing my September socks to take with me. Again, this is the personal sock club that I'm loosely following Kate over at Stitch Addiction, and then it's modeled after the Yarn Harlot Sock Club. And I decided that September was going to be the month to knit my Halloween socks, because then I could wear them for all of October, and I do love Halloween. So I have, I bought last year around Halloween. This is Knit Picks Felici. Again, unfortunately, this yarn line is discontinued at this point. I'm sure you can get a few of these on Ravelry or maybe even on eBay. And I think they're coming out with a new self-striping line, but they haven't just yet. Anyway, this is Knit Picks in the spooky colorway. And it's yellows and oranges and white, and then kind of a grayish black and a purple. And I'm just going to make myself some knee socks out of those. I'm not really going to use a pattern. I will explain to you as I go on, like what heel I use, but these are just going to be vanilla toe-up socks, and I'll just start at the bottom and knit till I run out of yarn. And I have 2 skeins because each one's good for approximately 1 sock. And I am really, really, really looking forward to having some Halloween socks to wear. So, and that's in my Game of Thrones bag, which is by Slip Stitch Studios. They have a bag of the month club, and she picks themes and gets some really great fabric. And then when it's all over, because I could never get my act together to get in for the club, when it's all over, she sells off the extras in her shop. And I am a big Game of Thrones fan, so I went for this little bag, and it's the perfect size to hold a pair of socks. If you're interested, I have linked Slip Stitch Studios in the notes, and you can follow her on Twitter to see notifications of when she puts extra bags up for sale, or just follow her shop. So that brings us to spinning. I finished, oh shoot, I forgot to bring one of them, so I'll have to show you that one next week. I was going to show you that I finished spinning the singles that I spun. These are 2If by hand, and this is the Roxy colorway on Mixed BFL. And again, I was spinning these as singles, and then I stuck them in the sink and alternated hot and cold water to kind of full them and set them a little bit. And I ended up with almost 520 yards, which makes me super happy. And the pattern that I'm going to knit is something called the petal cowl. And I will show you a picture. It's by Zandy Peters, and it is on Ravelry. It's a paid pattern, and it looks like this. And the reason I decided to spin up for that is this, the cowl is actually knit in Noro, I think it's Silk Garden sock, which is a single, and it's got known for long color runs. So I was super excited to spin that braid in long color blocks. I didn't chunk it up, I just spun it straight through. So I hope I will get kind of interesting stripes as it goes through as the colors fade into each other. So that will probably be coming up. I don't know if that'll be this month, but that is another one of the things that I'm working on. I did finish the Promenade spin. It was Southern Cross Fibers Falkland Silk, and I forgot to bring it in here. It was soaking and drying, so I will show that to you next week. But I did finish that one, which brings me to what's up on deck. So I went through my skeins, and I looked for more skeins that I would like to reply. Because that seems to be working so well. And one of the ones I found is this beautiful skein, and I think it was Sweet Georgia fiber. I want to say, oh, you know what? I have it. It's 100% superwash merino, and I cannot remember what the original colorway was because I always rename the colorways. And I spun it, and I just love the colors. It's pinks and purples and grays and a little bit of brown, and it's kind of muted, but I think it's really sweet. And actually, I have a couple projects in mind that I was thinking I might do for Roxy, one for Christmas. And it's super squishy and super soft, but when I look at it, I do have those sections that are not very plied. And so I thought this would be another good candidate for going back and trying to reply it to tighten it up just a little bit. I will probably lose a few yards on it, but it will still probably be squishy and usable, and I would really like it to wear a little bit better, and I'd like it to look a little bit tighter. So I think that's what I'm going to try and reply this week. And then that brings me to what's next. I decided to, I've done a couple spins for me, and the Promenade spin is for a friend, so I'm actually going to do another one for the shop, and this is 2 If by Hand, Jalon and Mighty. I really love them. This is the Explosion colorway in mixed BFL and silk, and this is a super fun braid. It is just all kinds of colors, blues and pinks and browns and purples, and it is just an explosion of color. And so I'm planning to try and spin that up this week. Hopefully I'll be able to show that to you next weekend, and then it will be destined for my shop, and then I have a few more spins that I'm going to do for a friend, and I keep looking at my fiber and thinking, oh, okay, I really want to make that, or I really want to spin that up. So as I mentioned in the first podcast, I think, for several months now, I've only been spinning for the shop because I hadn't gotten inspired specifically with any braids to do projects for myself, but all of a sudden everything I see is a project for me or for someone else. So I'm kind of, and I usually try and alternate between me and the shop just so that I can keep some new stuff in there. So I'm going to work on that. So I think that brings me to the end. I'm a few minutes shorter this week, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I can't wait to hear about what you're working on, and please leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you want to see something else on the show, please let me know. So I guess I will say goodbye for now. Happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks. Bye.